Have you ever stopped to think that your brain doesn't actually experience reality as it truly is? It only interprets what comes through your senses, like a filter. For instance, when you hear a song or smell freshly brewed coffee, what comes to mind? It's all about the associations your brain automatically makes, blending the present with old memories. Everything you perceive isn't exactly what's happening, but rather how your brain has decided to interpret it. It's kind of wild when you think about it, isn't it? Now, the way you see life is deeply tied to what you've been through. If you grew up hearing things like, money doesn't grow on trees, that might feel like an absolute truth today. Your brain doesn't even question it. It just keeps reinforcing that idea, like a scratched record. But here's the secret. You can change that. All it takes is paying attention to those automatic thoughts and replacing beliefs that don't serve you. Bit by bit, your mind starts creating a new reality. And trust me, it's amazing when you realize you can rewrite those stories. Want to see how this works? Remember when something simple, like the sound of rain, suddenly made you feel nostalgic for a specific moment? That's your brain, always trying to make sense of things and build connections. But here's the catch. How much of those connections really reflect what's happening now? Could you see beyond what your mind is used to showing you? That's the key point because, poor thing, your brain is stuck inside your skull, with no direct contact with the outside world. Have you ever thought about how the brain, shut away inside your skull, never actually sees or touches anything directly? Everything it knows about the world comes from the signals it receives through your senses, what you hear, feel, see, and it pieces all that together to create your perception of what's happening around you. It's like when you catch a whiff of something delicious and instantly picture a favorite dish. But in reality, your brain is guessing. It's using what you've experienced before to figure out what's happening now. Most of the time it gets it right, but not always. This habit of predicting things is super helpful in daily life. Like when you walk into a new place, your brain immediately compares it to what you already know. The smell, the sounds, even how people are acting. If something feels off, you notice it straight away, but sometimes it gets it wrong. Ever thought someone was annoyed with you, only to realize later it was all in your head? That's your brain trying to slot everything into familiar categories, but those categories aren't always accurate. And you know what's fascinating? This ability to predict the future is also what helps you dream and plan. When you imagine your next move, like switching careers or going on that dream holiday, it's your brain taking pieces of your past and assembling a new scenario. But here's the trick. If you let it run on autopilot, it might create limitations based on your past. So why not start asking, what if it works out? That simple shift can change everything. Speaking of imagination, this is where things get even more interesting. Imagination is one of the most powerful tools your brain has. When you close your eyes and start visualizing something, like the future you want to create, your brain doesn't make much of a distinction between what's real and what's imagined. That's why sometimes just thinking about something exciting makes your heart race, or why remembering an embarrassing moment can make you cringe all over again, even if it happened years ago. It's like your mind is a stage, and you're the scriptwriter, deciding what stories it's going to rehearse. But imagination isn't just about escaping reality or creating fantasies. It's also the driving force behind creativity and innovation. Think about the greatest inventions. They all started in the mind of someone who dared to imagine something that didn't exist yet. And here's the thing, you can use that same ability to transform your life. For example, if you're stuck in a job that doesn't fulfill you, try visualizing the kind of work you'd love to do. Not just the environment, but how you feel in that space, who you interact with, and the impact you make. This practice of vividly imagining details puts your brain into a focused state that helps turn possibilities into reality. The only problem is this incredible ability can sometimes backfire. When your mind gets stuck in negative scenarios, like excessive worrying or painful memories, it's easy to lose touch with the present moment. Ever been so caught up in, what if it all goes wrong, that you couldn't enjoy what was actually happening? That's the tricky side of imagination. But the good news is, you can train it. Meditation, guided visualizations, and even journaling about how you'd like your life to be are ways to harness your imagination for good. Your brain loves a bit of training, and the more you practice, the more it turns those inner scenarios into tangible outcomes. Now think about this. If all this is possible, how does your brain decide, day to day, what's most important to focus on? The answer lies in how it processes vibrations and frequencies, which directly influence what you attract into your life. Your brain works like an antenna, sending and receiving signals based on your thoughts, emotions, and actions. It tunes into whatever you focus on most. If you're constantly dwelling on problems, it's like being on their frequency. But when you choose to focus on gratitude and solutions, your frequency shifts, and that changes how you perceive and attract the world around you. Have you noticed how, on good days, everything just seems to flow better? That's because your energy and perception change, aligning your mind with more positive vibrations. It's not about ignoring problems, but about learning to adjust your focus even during tough times. Simple practices like listing things you're grateful for or visualizing what you want help train your brain to function in this state. With consistency, this shift becomes second nature. You realize it's not just about changing your thoughts, but about how this starts transforming your reality, attracting people, opportunities, and experiences that match this new energy. Your brain creates the reality you live in. So, what are you doing to align your thoughts and vibrations with what you truly desire? Think about it, and share in the comments how you're going to apply this knowledge.